Hello ladies and gents, welcome to day 5 of MovieFile's 100 movies in 100 days. Today, as requested on my Facebook page, I will be reviewing the movie Logan's Run. Now, this was requested by a guy on my Facebook page by the name of Aaron Hughes. He's a friend of mine and a great guy all around, so I decided to do this movie and give it a bit of a whirl because I've never seen this before. The movie was first produced in 1976. There is a 2014 reboot of this movie that is coming, but that's not out yet, so I can't really judge it by this movie. Now, to start, as the movie itself is kind of from a different age, so in terms of what this movie was in comparison to what we can do today, it was kind of different. It was directed by Michael Anderson. Now, before I even go into the whole premise of this movie, there was a lot of stuff that really annoyed me about this film. The first thing was casting, the second was basically how the actors were working in this film as well, and thirdly, a lot had to do with direction, the way they took this film, because it was at the same age, same time where sci-fi was extremely popular and movies like Planet of the Apes were sort of commonplace.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
And because of that, they kind of took this movie in the same direction. And also this film, because of how popular it was back then, it inspired a 1977 TV series which made things even worse. And apparently since '94 they've been trying to remake this movie, so it shows how bad the actual premise of this film is.
That's right, Alba. It's a horrible, horrible job.
So let's go to the story. The year is 2277. Basically, people are being seen to have like implants put into their hands, children being made sort of like, you know, by the usual standards. It's all gone out the window basically. Humans live in a sealed dome in a city, so we have no idea what the outside world entails. Everybody lives and they've been given their own sort of identities by this computer system. Logan 5, Michael York, is tapping at this window. You see all these little babies with these crystals in their hands, basically starting their new lives. Now he's tapping on the window going goo 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 goo, while his friend decides to go up to the window and start bashing it with his baton. His friend Francis Seven, who's played by Richard Jordan, is kind of hilarious in this movie because he looks exactly like Russell Brand, or should I say Russell Brand looks exactly like him. So it's kind of weird seeing this sort of thing. I can see the way that they've sort of blended these characters together because they're seen as pretty boys, so they're sort of like the cream of the crop, so to speak.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop!
So what they decide to do is they go to see this ritual, sort of like the ritual where like people over the age of 30 decide they go to be given new lives, so to speak. So they watch this ritual go on, and then they confront a runner. The runner tries to get away while they decide to just blast the guy to kingdom come, and the guy lays there dying. Logan 5 realizes that the guy had a new face done before he went on the run, so obviously this was planned before.
Tiny surgery.
I'd like to take his face off.
Yes.
So what Logan does, he finds an ankh under this guy's possessions. It's basically like a symbol. It's kind of like a cross. So you have the circular part at the top, the cross at the bottom, and then the two crosses on either side. And it's usually it's sort of an Egyptian symbol that dictates the Mother, Father, Son and the Holy Spirit. So Logan decides to have a bit of a party, you know, after a successful day of just basically being a Sandman, a police officer, and he meets Jessica 6. And I know people have been given all these little numbers to signify themselves, so there's maybe more than one of themselves. So commonplace reasoning means that these people are probably clones. So Logan decides he wants to have a bit of fun and have a bit of sex, and it's so funny in this scene because it does nothing in terms of basically making the film. And Logan takes her and says he wants to have sex. She says no, 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 and he's like, well, you put yourself in the cycle. So it's kind of him saying that she's a bit of a cock tease, and she then refuses and says no, I'm not having this. And then he sees an ankh around her neck, and she decides to just go and leave him be. As these guys start their day on duty, they decide to take their possessions and give it to this machine. This machine that I believed it takes the whole of their society, it governs everything. So Logan decides to take this pendant to the machine, and the machine asks Logan what the pendant is and asks him to sit down. So the machine asks Logan what it is, and he says he has no idea, so it explains to him what the ankh is, and it's basically represented by the runners. Logan said, what's that got to do with him? The machine says to him, well, you've got to go on the run. You have to go on the run to basically chase these people down. Logan gets a bit scared and says, well, you know, I'm not at that age yet. I'm not at the age to go and run. I'm not 30, you know, I don't have to go through the life cycle. Then the machine reveals that anybody who goes through this life cycle process don't actually get renewed, they just get killed. Think about it right now. The whole plot line of this movie, this is where I kind of see this thing a bit flawed. The machine has revealed itself and revealed that it just purges everybody, literally just kills everyone, and that's what happens to them. There's no life cycle whatsoever, it's just a show. Being revealed this, Logan sits there in shock and realizes what's happening, and the machine says to him, well, you've got to destroy this place, this sanctuary, this place where people go to escape their lives there because it's causing problems. Logan says how, and the machine decides that he's gonna go on the run, and the only way for him to go on the run is for him to reach that age of 30, so it triggers his hand, the gem on his hand, to start flashing. So that basically means that his life is over, and that's the key premise of this thing. It's basically telling anybody that your life finishes at 30, which I'm 31, so I would have been dead by now. So Logan basically, after hearing all this and having all this revealed to him, decides, okay, I need to find Jessica, I need to find out how to go on the run so I can stop this sanctuary, get my life back, and just sort myself out because I'm fucking shitting brick. So after explaining himself to Jessica, Jessica tries to talk to the group. The group says that she needs to get him killed, that, you know, they don't want anything to do with him, but instead, you know, against their behest, she gets Logan, and then they go on the run. So they meet with the group, and they lead him to the underground of the city, where he's being chased down by his former friend, who goes after him because he figures out that, you know, so he was chasing another runner who bumps into Logan, who says, no, I'm not going to do anything, just tell me where this place is so I can get there. Francis follows Logan, and he's basically trying to track them down. Logan says to her, look, you know, let's get a new face. I need a new face before I go on the run, because that's apparently commonplace, that's what people do. So Logan goes to visit a doctor and tries to get his face redone. The doctor shows him this machine, cuts his face, and sort of brings his face back to normal afterwards. This is kind of the height of technology. He's then contacted and told assumedly by the machine, who tells him, you know, you've got to kill this guy, he's on the run, he needs to be killed. And after that, the machine goes bazonkers and tries to destroy Logan. Logan goes, you know, tries to get out of this situation while the doctor tries to pin him down. The doctor ends up getting carved up by the machine in something which really cracks me up, because the dialogue, the doctor states to him that the machine cuts through bone, so it cuts through your clothes and your bone. So if you're going to cut yourself and something cuts through your bone, things aren't going to be back together. Now it cuts Logan on his chest, and all it shows is just some torn clothes and a little gash. So obviously, you know, the machine doesn't do what it's supposed to be doing. So as the doctor lays dying, he bumps into his friend Francis and tries to explain the situation, and Francis says to him, no, you know, I know what you've been doing, I saw that you're on the run, I'm going to kill you now. He runs as Francis is firing his damn gun at him.
You motherfuckers are gonna kill all my lilies!
They go on the run, and it's a whole huge bunch of chase scenes ensue with these guys trying to outrun Francis. It's kind of something like a Scooby-Doo movie. They eventually get to this lift, pull the lever, and go all the way up as Francis is tailing them, and end up in this big, sort of ice cave. They bump into a machine called the Box, played by Roscoe Lee Brown. Now, he's kind of a mix between a Dalek with a person's head on top. And oh god, it's the most irritating thing on the planet. If you don't believe me, I'll show you a bit of footage now.
I'm ready. And you're ready. It's my job.
The whole premise of this Box thing, he's supposed to be getting food for the city, and instead, because food hasn't been coming up, no salmon, no carp, no anything's been coming up for him to actually freeze for the people have been coming up instead, so he's been freezing them, and then he goes over with the same thing, and salmon and carp and bird and this and that, and oh god. God, it was causing me to have a migraine. He was like the most insane. You wanted this character to die because of how annoying he was. Before he can do anything, Logan destroys him and then runs out with Jessica. And it was actually a quite funny fight scene because he's trying to hit him with his gun. The gun's got no juice left in it, and he's trying to put his handgun thingies on Logan as Logan just throws his hands up in the air and waves them like he's just don't care. And the whole place just comes crumbling down, so he legs it with Jessica. So once outside, Logan and Jessica, they see like an abandoned world. Everything's all like plants, and it's just wasteland. And they decide to go for a dip, have a swim, try and clean themselves up and you know, get themselves back to normal. And then they figure out that their life clogs, these gems, these diamonds that are embedded in their hands, don't work anymore. So they look and try and find a human civilization, something where they can just live the rest of their lives in peace, because of the fact that they're now on the run. They're wanted fugitives, but they've escaped from that whole citadel, so they should be fine now, right? So they find the remnants of Washington DC in the old Senate chamber. Now this is like hilariously like Planet of the Apes, because instead of having the Statue of Liberty coming out of the ground, sort of protruding from the whole beach part, basically, like that's the wasteland, and having the guy going, "You killed them! You killed them all!" Instead, he's standing there looking at a big statue of Abe Lincoln with vines covered, and he's going, "Oh, but this was a remnant of some sort of civilization, wasn't it?" And I'm not kidding, this is the way he actually talks like he's some posh git from just bad cost. They then bump into an old man. They go into this place, bump into an old man. It looks like an old schoolhouse, and the old man sitting there talking to them in rhymes. He's the best thing out of this movie because he's the only character. Everyone else seems really bland and stale, but he just seems quite the kooky character out of the lot. And he's explained to him about his lifestyle, his parents, and that he's been living there for ages. And he's asking about the clocks on their hands, the gems, and they're just saying, "Well, we can't get these out of our hands." He's like, "Can I have one, please?" Then they figure out that Francis has followed them. He tries kidnapping Jessica as Logan tries to stop him. They go into a big Star Trek-esque fight. It's so funny. They fight to the death, and then Francis lays on the floor dying, going, "Oh, I had to stop you." Logan tried to explain himself, you know, he feels sorry, he's holding his friend lifeless in his hands. Francis dies, and then him and Jessica and the old man just basically stand there. Oh, the best part of this movie, there were tons of cats. So as these two are fighting, just see cats flying about everywhere. It's hilarious. So Logan convinces Jessica and the old man to go back to the Citadel. They want to let everybody know about the outside world, that there's more to it. You know, they don't want this to be the end of Francis' life and the end of things to come. He wants to make sure that everybody knows what they've found. They decide to go back. They go on a huge long journey, so you have a long slow scene as they go back to the sanctuary. They finally make it there, and then as he sees another sort of life cycle event going on, Logan tells people to stop. He goes, "Don't do it, don't do it, this is a lie, this is all a lie." So then he gets taken by the Sandmen and taken back to the computer. The computer asks him questions, probes his brain, and then you see like a little video footage of him going back and forth, and he's saying there is no sanctuary, it's a lie, there is no sanctuary. Somehow he manages to make the computer explode because of all this. I don't know how he did it, but the computer just experienced a huge meltdown, whole place explodes. Everybody exits out of there, and then they go up to the surface. As they go up to the surface, they find the old man, and people just like touching him, and you know, he's talking to people, and everybody's happy. You know, they're not the fact that they've just left themselves in a barren wasteland and they have no fucking clue what to do because they've been programmed to do this, that, and everything else. They're all left in a situation where, well, it's life, and that's pretty much it. You know, that's the whole premise of this movie. Now let's go into the acting quickly. Michael York as Logan 5 was such a bad casting. He's one of those sort of thespian actors. He's done Broadway, he's done television, he's done literally everything. But the funny thing about it, I don't know why he decided to play Logan kind of like this for the most of the movie. So all the time he's talking like this and saying, oh my god, that's very bad. When I felt that the whole premise of this movie, Logan should have been a more grittier character. He should have been someone who asked a lot of questions, and also somebody who is questioning his own beliefs. And I felt that York didn't portray that as well as he should have. And especially having someone that you have in a movie where it's that this whole movie was built around him pretty much. He's the main character. The movie's titled Logan's Run, but he just couldn't do it justice. Even though the movie did make money, it managed to make a lot of money, mind you. I just felt that him as this character just didn't work. It's like, again, with Richard Jordan as Francis VII, there's a varied amount of sort of like villains in this movie, and he was sort of the main guy. He was programmed to kill runners, he was programmed to stop people from leaving the Citadel, and you know, he kind of got immersed in his own sort of villainy. I couldn't take him seriously. Again, he was pretty much the pretty boy, the guy that was sort of like, hey, how's it going, ladies? How are you doing? Are you fine? Huh, I'm great too. And because he was too fratty, it didn't push the character enough. And again, I felt like it damaged the story as a whole, like with Francis, with Logan, and again with Jessica. Jenny Agutter as Jessica 6. Again, the funny thing about this is the majority of the movie, you see her run around with her bottom hanging out. She's naked like nearly 98% of this movie, and it's supposed to be a family film. And she's out of everything else, she's annoying. She's literally supposed to be the love interest, but at first he's like trying to rape her, and she's like, I don't want to have sex with you. I feel sad because my friend died, who was the friend that he killed. And she holds no grudges towards Logan, and then they end up wanting to be together afterwards, and it's just like, it was head scratching, this relationship, and the mechanic didn't work. These two and the relationship that they built up together just didn't really have that sort of passion that you would expect from a couple in a movie. I felt that they were bad for each other, they were badly designed, the characters was badly written, and Roscoe Lee Browns as the Box, my god, this character was the most irritating thing I have ever seen in a movie. I could sit through the Scary Movie franchise, but I almost switched off by watching this character. I wanted to punch him in the face. When he died, I felt that they should have pissed on him, because he didn't do anything. He was standing there talking about fish and carp, fish and carp. He was just in there just so they had this robotic presence. Peter Ustinov as the old man. Best thing about this film, him and his cats. Literally, if you cut out the rest of Logan's Run and just have this guy and his cats, he's just so interesting. He's so childlike. He's so senile, and he's got all these cats around there. He was even asking to trade one of his cats for the clock that was on their hat. And that's the only thing that allowed me to keep interest in this film, to sit there and gain attention from this movie. As a whole, it was a bad movie. The writing was terrible, the direction wasn't even there, the characters were stale and boring. It was one of those things where you sit there and you felt to yourself, okay, I can't watch this movie, and my attention kind of waned more than once, and that's the whole thing. And I know a lot of people will say to me it's a different time. It was at a time when sci-fi was a huge thing, and they were casting everyone and their mother in a sci-fi movie, which was great, but at the same sense it was just, my attention just could not focus on this thing. And you know, and I'm a very varied guy. I can watch, you know, this past week I've watched a Swedish movie, I've watched a Russian movie, and I couldn't, by all intents and purposes, I couldn't focus on this. So let's go to, you know, my score system. As you know, 1 is just extremely bad, never watch it, and a 5 is the best movie that you've ever seen. I give this movie effectively a 2. It's not at all a bad movie, but it's still so bad that I would probably never pick this movie up again. And it's given me a new appreciation for guys like Michael Bay that can just basically do explosions to cover up bad acting, because the acting in this movie was really bad. And a lot of it had to do with casting, a lot of it had to do with the writing as well, and I think the writing was extremely bad to pull these characters off. And I think that's the problem with trying to get this movie up and running since '94. You know, everyone's tried to reboot it and make a new version of this movie. There's even films that have pulled some material from this movie, and I understand it is a cult classic. If you look at the Justin Timberlake vehicle In Time, which again just didn't get my attention because of the fact that the movie was just so bad because of the acting and the characters, but we can go into an In Time review later on. But that's pretty much it. So that's me done for Logan's Run, and I hope never to see this movie again. So check back for day 6 where I'll be reviewing the movie World War Z. So check back for that.